Hello and welcome back to JW's Dugout. John here. Happy Tuesday. So the baseball season is officially over, and I gotta say, what an unbelievable Game 7. What an unbelievable series. Even if you didn't like the two teams, you gotta admit that every game was exciting, especially that Game 7. Congrats to the Dodgers, as much as that hurts to say, but now we've officially hit the offseason, and this is where the action finally starts for the Braves, and we'll see what moves they do in the next couple of weeks here, and then leading into the winter meetings and into the holidays, and before we know it, it'll be spring training again. It'll be awfully quick, but this is obviously I love when baseball is in session, but this is also one of my favorite times of the year. It's from a collecting standpoint, it's a time where I can finally kind of slow down, reflect, and really dive into the history of the game through cards and through books without having to be dedicated to watching baseball nightly. But don't get me wrong, I'm gonna miss baseball every single day, every single hour. So let's start with a few headlines. Obviously, I mentioned the Braves. They officially hired a new manager yesterday. It was announced Walt Weiss, former bench coach, former American League Rookie of the Year, former Atlanta Brave, takes over for Brian Snitker. A lot of fans are kind of a little flabbergasted that it took the Braves this long to announce that they were making an internal hire. There were a lot of names thrown out there, a lot of younger guys, a lot of analytic heavy options out there. But they went with a guy that they consider quote unquote is the Braves way. This is a guy who has obviously a great relationship with Brian Snitker, great relationship with the current players, and kind of comes from that same framework of Bobby Cox and Snitker. So we'll see how it pans out. I did watch his press conference earlier today. I was pleasantly surprised by his comments and the way that he handled himself. So I'm going to remain positive on that end of things. It's a move that feels familiar. It doesn't seem like the Braves took a big risk there, but we'll see how it pans out. There's also, of course, a flurry of activity in terms of players opting out of contracts, and I'm assuming that we're going to see a flurry of moves here in the next week or so. So expect some potential roster shakeups. And then speaking of decisions, another very exciting part of my collecting journey, the contemporary baseball era Hall of Fame ballot was just announced. Those players who are up for election, if you will. The results are going to come out December 7th at 7:30, and this year's group is unbelievable. I mean, you got Barry Bonds, you've got Roger Clemens, Carlos Delgado, Jeff Kent, Don Mattingly, Dale Murphy, Gary Sheffield, and Fernando Valenzuela. Some iconic names there, some controversial names there. Two guys in Mattingly and Murphy, who a lot of people believe deserve to have gotten in from via the standard election process. So I'm going to save my opinions on it for another video. But this is part of my favorite as a Hall of Fame autograph collector. I love this aspect of it because I get to go out and knock off some of the names that have appeared on this ballot through autographs on cards. So, guys like Carlos Delgado, I don't have his autograph. Surprisingly, I don't have Don Mattingly's autograph. I do have everybody else's, so I'm in good shape, but I can go out and prospect a little bit if I think that they're going to get in before December 7th. Save me a few bucks before they're officially Hall of Famers. So again, I'll save that for another video, as we lead into the December 7th election. Or December 7th results. So as I mentioned, off-season, I always use this time to really dig into baseball history, to research, to learn, to really reconnect with baseball's past. And it usually starts with another rewatch of Ken Burns' baseball. And that's going to start at some point this week before I go to bed. One of these nights. The thing never gets old. Also, when it was a game, I plan on watching that as well, along with a few other docs. I just picked up another book. I know I'm nuts. For the cue, this is How Baseball Happened. I've been meaning to read this for such a long time. Basically, outrageous lies exposed, the true story revealed of how baseball was born. And it has amazing reviews. So I'm going to dig into this. I love this kind of stuff. And, you know, my ever-growing reading list, like I said, is stacked a mountain high next to me in bed. My wife loves it. Not really. um, and of course, I've got, for the off season, I've got plenty planned for this channel. You know, next week I am, fingers crossed, hopefully, tentatively, launching a brand new series with a very, very well-known YouTuber. I'm not going to divulge all the details here, but we're aiming for either a twice a month or once a month video, and I'll share more details soon, like I said. And then season 2 of the More Than It Seems podcast will kick off later this month, if not next week, the following week. I've got some great names and some great topics lined up. But for today, I just want to show off some of my recent pickups. And the majority are from Jake over at Legends Never Die, his incredible Virgil collection. I was able to attend both live streams over the course of the last week or so. Picked up more than maybe I should have, but Jake's always great about sending things over quickly, and he's super easy to deal with. So why don't we swing the camera around and take a look at some of the cards that I picked up. So before we jump into my pickups from the Virgil collection, I do want to let you guys know that I do have one big Hank Aaron card on its way, and funny enough, it should arrive tomorrow. It's been in eBay authentication for the past couple weeks. I actually purchased it back in September, so still waiting around for it. So I'll be able to show that off during my next pickup video, probably sometime early next week. I do have one other pickup that did come in the mail before we jump into the stuff that I got from Jake, and that's this 1961 Golden Press PSA 8 in the old label Speaker. And I've really, really been into this set lately. It's funny because a couple other, like they were talking about it on the live stream, surprisingly, and I've seen a couple other channels talk about this recently, but I've been really into this set for the better part of the last 2 months or so, picking up cards here and there. And I might do a separate video just showcasing some of the cards that I do have from the set. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, the 1961 Golden Press set was a small 33 card release that was pretty unique. It featured colorized portraits of some of baseball's all-time greats, and it was a clean book-like design. So, you know, originally these were issued as a perforated booklet that collectors could tear apart, and that's why you see obviously the perforation along the sides of this Speaker. But this set is, you know, the checklist, if you will, is pretty legendary. You've got everybody from Babe Ruth to Ty Cobb to Lefty Grove. And though, you know, modest in size, the set, I really think is undervalued and underrated today. I mean, bright artwork. You've got the Hall of Fame checklist, like I said, and nostalgic early 60s charm. So you can see the back of these. Pretty simple. You get a nice little paragraph, a nice little write-up on the player, some lifetime stats, but this is a good early entry point into collecting some of the all-time greats without having to break the bank. I probably overpaid for this, but I just really, really like it, and I'm doing a separate project that may or may not involve this individual. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But for PSA 8, I think I paid about $45 for this. So again, probably a little bit of an overpay, but I really like the card. It's a beautiful card. We'll put that right up there. All right. And then we'll just, we'll jump into what I was able to get from both of those live streams. Or actually, the first, let's back up for a second. So these cards are actually cards that I acquired in separate conversations from the Virgil collection from Jake that he was holding for me for a little bit. And then the bulk are from the first live stream. I did purchase some cards from the second live stream. They're not here yet. Obviously, that just happened over this past weekend. I'm anticipating to get them at some point this week, so I'll show them off next week. But we're going to start off with a card I purchased a couple weeks back from Jake, and this is the 1958 Topps Hank Aaron All-Star. And I have had my eye on this card, obviously, as part of the Hank Aaron run for a while, and was just waiting to find the right card. And this one is absolutely the right card. This is a beautiful SGC 5.5. And just a beautiful portrait of Hank Aaron, one of my favorites of his. The back is incredibly clean. Get a nice little write-up. Aaron's 57 record versus National League teams. And the registration's beautiful on this. The colors pop. I love the blue background. Very patriotic feel, and just a great addition to my Hank Aaron collection. All right, so moving right along. This is one that I did pick up from his first live stream, the 1940 play ball. And yes, look at this. Raw cards. Can you believe it? You'll see a couple in this set of pickups. This Carl Hubbell 1940 play ball, the screwball master himself. And I really like the play ball set. Got that soft, classic black and white feel that to me really captures the era perfectly. It's got that wartime feel. And this one's in pretty good condition. Obviously, there's some issues in the back. A little bit of line there. Some corner issues. I don't do much in terms of sending in raw cards to grade, but I might actually do a few of these that have come from Jake. So we'll put Carl Hubbell here. Next, I did pick up the 1954 Bowman Eddie Matthews. This is another card that I have been waiting to add to the collection. Sharp design and a great portrait of Eddie Matthews. I think this is pretty well centered. I mean, a little bit off left to right, but great looking card of Eddie. Nice back. Really happy to pick that one up. Another one, this is, again, my attempt between Monty Irving and Frank Robinson. There's some key guys out there that I'm starting to go after their run. Once I'm done with Hank Aaron, I don't want to fully dedicate myself to one player. I want to kind of branch out a little bit so that my collection and my recent pickups are a little bit more eclectic. I'm having a lot of fun with Hank Aaron, of course, but this guy too, Larry Doby. And this is not the greatest condition Doby, but the 1952 Bowman is one of my favorites. Of course, the first African-American player in American League, and a Hall of Famer who deserves more hobby love. Can't go wrong with a Larry Doby card. 134 games in 1951. He batted .295, hit 20 homers, 5 triples, 27 doubles, drove in 69. Great looking card. All right. Speaking of Monty Irvin, I have his autograph twice over, so I thought, why not add a third? And I'm not really that familiar with this artist, to be honest with you. This is 1990 Jack Morelli art. Stars of the Negro Leagues trading cards. I am familiar with the set, but not that familiar with the artist. I just thought that this was really cool to have Irvin in his Negro Leagues uniform. Beautiful blue Sharpie across the center of the card. Just an awesome piece. And I think Irving's story and legacy are so important to baseball history. I have his Hall of Fame plaque postcard. I have, what do I have? I've got a Perez Steele of his autographed and a card. So actually, this is my fourth Monty Irving autograph. Again, this is one that, should I end up grading these, maybe I'll send this into PSA to have it authenticated. Looking at this autograph, I'm 99.9% sure it's real. It's obviously not authenticated, but again, I trust Jake and I trust the signature there. All right. So actually, believe it or not, let's see. Nope, I lied. That's not it for baseball. Jake also threw in, because he's just that good of a guy, some Fred McGriffs. Now, admittedly, I already have these, but he did say that the Virgil collection came with a lot of Fred McGriff, so he was nice enough to pass these along. These will definitely be sleeved and top-loaded and added to my set. You can never have too many Fred McGriff cards, and I really appreciate the fact that he sent these over. I love that Topps Black Gold from '93. Got a nice Stadium Club. And then this one, for those that he did send over, I actually, believe it or not, I had this as a kid, but somehow I lost it over the years. And this was 1998 Fleer Sports Illustrated, one of the many calendars that came inserted into packs, and really happy to have this one. Yeah, he's in his Devil Rays uniform, but I'll take it. So thank you once again, Jake. I appreciate the deals. I appreciate the extra throw-ins. And we're not done. We're not done. We're going to move quickly over to some vintage basketball that I picked up from Jake, and we'll run through these really quick. The first one is a big card for my collection because I actually didn't have this, and it's the 1986 Fleer Patrick Ewing stickers. This sets a cornerstone of 80s basketball collecting, and great shot of Ewing going up for the block. It's definitely a little off center, but this is one that I'm definitely considering grading, because I think I want it encapsulated, and really happy to own this very early Patrick Ewing. So we'll put that up there. A few others, let's see. We've got a couple of 1970s tops. We've got all Knicks, of course. These are not necessarily going to break the bank by any means, but I wanted to pick them up because I want to just start branching out my Knicks collection from a vintage perspective. We've got Phil Jackson, Bill Bradley, Earl the Pearl, Monroe. These are in great condition. I mean, some issues here, but pretty sharp corners. And then we've got this NBA All-Stars 72-73 Walt Frazier. Gotta love these. So really happy to pick these up, add them to my next collection. And then we did also pick up, and this is not from Jake, this is just random stuff that I picked up on eBay. As I'm trying to go to bed one night, I'm like, I know that they released new 2025 Topps licensed basketball, and I'm like, let's go pick up some Knicks cards. So I think I spent collectively about $10. I'm like, let's just have the set. They're in their Knicks unis. We've got Miles McBride, OG Anunoby, which is a great shot, great photo. Bernard King, Tyler Kolek, and then we picked up some Jalen Brunson, just a couple different variations from the 2025 set. This is the Topps Chrome Mojo, and then an insert Levitation. Again, I'm not collecting much modern of anything really, except for Fred McGriff, some Chipper Jones stuff, and of course any Hall of Fame autographs. But for basketball, I think let's stick with the Knicks set, even for the new stuff, and then stick to vintage. So really happy with these pickups. Really excited to add some of these cards along with the Aaron. I think the Aaron was a great find, and Jake, again, I appreciate the deal on it. Really interested to continue building out the 1961 Golden Press set. It's not going to break the bank. It's not over the top pricey, but a good way to capture some key Hall of Famers in my collection. So that's the latest as far as what I'm working on, and I really appreciate you guys stopping by the Dugout. We had lots of baseball talk, lots of cardboard, and again, plenty of projects in the works, including next week. Like I said, tentatively, I am starting a new series with a key YouTuber, and then we'll continue to push out some videos. Like I said, More Than It Seems podcast. I'm going to continue with the Hall of Fame auto series by class. One of those videos will likely drop this week. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what you think of these cards, but also some of the early conversations that we had in the intro of this video regarding, potential Hall of Famers and who potentially will get in from the contemporary baseball era Hall of Fame ballot. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Who do you think of that group deserves it? Who do you think it has a realistic chance to get in? All right, and we'll catch you guys next time. You have a great rest of your Tuesday.